I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really excited to have this conversation because it's not just about using video, it's about using a strategy around video. And a lot of us have either been avoiding video. I know you're out there. That's why you're not on the call live, because you're avoiding video. I know. And then a lot of us who have been doing it have either been trying to be perfect or have been trying to sort of take what we do offline and put it online and just do, okay, I'm going to do the exact same thing on video. It doesn't always not work, but it doesn't always give you the best that you want. No question, times are tough, folks. Let's not pretend they're not, but there's also opportunity here. And in order to grab the opportunity, we want to figure out how you can pivot in a way that isn't going to eat up your time, that is going to make a lasting impression on your people, have a real impact, as opposed to just being noise, and that ultimately is going to get you some business in some way or another. So that's sort of my goal today. We're going to have an informal chat on this because obviously we're all pivoting and this happened very quickly. But I think the key to video isn't to think about it as social media, which is how a lot of us have been thinking about it, and not to think about it as just a replication of what I used to do in person, now I'm going to do on video, but to think of it as a brand new strategy, a brand new way of doing a couple of things. And this is sort of ad hoc, but I do have a image I want to show you. So let me share my screen and show you. So we can think about all of the different things we do on video, right? So all of these things up here, I need to follow up with clients. I need to do more vlogging. I need to do tutorials. I need to get on Zoom. I need to right? You're going to go crazy. But really what I want you to think about is start thinking about your video time or your video creation in different buckets. And the first is this top of mind, which is what most people think of. And I'll even hear people say, well, I don't want to be a YouTube star. Well, great. Don't be a YouTube star. But in this time, you want to be out there in people's consciousness in a way that's not obnoxious. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But think about top of mind, and then think about how you can serve your existing clients. Folks, right now is a time that you need to double down on the relationship with anybody who's given you money. Ever. Ever. Don't chase the new clients. Don't chase the press. Don't chase the status. Don't chase all of that before you do extra service with the people who already have or already are giving you money. And that's a mistake I see people doing. Oh my gosh, I'm going to lose all my business. I better go get more. Well, the business you've got may lead to more, or at the very least, you need to be in integrity there. So serve, serve, serve. And then what can we do to be starting to make money off of video? A lot of us are pivoting to new products and services. So those are sort of the three areas I want to talk about. And we can do it in a lot of different ways, right? But before I get into that, I want to chat with y'all. And so Stacy, who's not the Rise Stacy, because I don't know your last name. I would love to hear, what are your thoughts about video and what are your needs about using video in these unique times?
Well, I think it's important for us to have, it's great that people are sending out emails saying what they're doing about COVID-19 or how that's changed their industry or how that affects their clients. But I think it's important for us to get that face-to-face time with them and let them see us. And a lot of tone and body language is lost via email. So I think it's important to do that.
I think that's so huge, huge, huge. So there's two things we can do with that right away that I would recommend people do. It is a lot more useful for you to create a video about your COVID response than to create an email about your COVID response, because you're putting your face in front of them, you're putting the relationship in front of them because of what Stacy just said about body language, tone of voice, that kind of thing. But also because this allows you to pivot to your message. What is the core message of what you do? Right now is a time where you need to dig deep, everyone, and figure out to use the coin, your why. But a lot of times people think that their why has to be this big, huge, amazing, I'm going to change the course of the world as we know it. And it may just be, families who need somewhere to live. I'm going to help you find the right place to live because I like families having great places, right? It could be a smaller why, but we've got to go back to our why because people are freaking out. And
Sure.
so we need to remind them of what's important and what's important for us and what's important for the world. Now, for some of us, that may be a bigger why. Some of us may be in the space of, I want to empower women to run successful businesses, or I want to help people become financially stable, or which during this time is a big one, right? I'm thinking of some of our RISE members who are in that world, or all the various things that it may be a big why, it may be a small why. That should be part of your COVID message that, hey, things are tough. Here's what I'm doing. I'm not giving up on my core message, my core meaning. Here it is. So that's one thing we can be doing. But another thing is I see a lot of people trying to put out programming. Here's a workshop. Here's a this. Here's a this. Here's the right? There's nothing wrong with that. Clearly, we're doing it now. But too much of that becomes overwhelming for people. So I recommend that you go to good old-fashioned office hours.
Oh, say more about that. That's really interesting because Mark, just for context, everyone, Mari and I were talking about this before we started, just that it feels a little bit like the paradox of choice. We have all pivoted to offer thousands of things and everyone is getting bombarded by it.
Yeah. And I don't know that people necessarily need more things. They need more relationship. Especially people who aren't used to social isolating.
Yeah.
I quickly learned who everybody in my world is an extrovert because all of the introverts just went into their hole and haven't talked to me. And all the extroverts are like, hi, how are you? Can you have a phone call? Can you have a video call? I'm like, right, you're at home going crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
But what I recommend, and I've done this for years and it's a great business builder, is have a set time that you are going to be on either it could be a Zoom call, it can be a Facebook Live, it can be something else. Facebook Live is a little harder because you have to have some kind of content if no one shows up. Whereas Zoom, you can just sit there and answer your emails, but you're saying, I've got office hours. If you want to drop by and chat on Tuesday from 3 to 6, I'm here. Now, what this does, particularly for those of you who are still in the client generation mode, right, is that it shortens that obstacle to reaching out to you. So let's say I've got questions for the other Stacy. I still don't know your last name, Stacy Realtor. I've got questions about, well, is this maybe a good time to sell a home? With the financing going on and interest rates going down, should I buy? Should I sell? I don't know. I may feel like calling her and making an appointment is a big reach out, especially if I'm not 100% sure. I'm just kind of curious right now. But if I know, oh, well, I can just jump on during those times, wait my turn and do it, it's not as big of a reach out. And because it's not a big of a reach out, and I feel less like I'm making a commitment to follow through with her, which I would have more of those feelings if I made an appointment, I'm more likely to do that. And then I build the relationship. I see her as being of service, but also, what do people do even in social isolating? Ask what'd you do today, right? Oh, I talked to a realtor. Oh, I talked to a financial advisor. Oh, my Rolfer couldn't meet me. I'm not going to go get Rolfed right now, but I jumped on her call and she was showing people some stretches. It was kind of cool. It becomes a secondary way to get referrals, not direct referrals, but secondary referrals by getting and staying in people's consciousness. Back to the top of mind I talked about. And if nobody shows up, you answer your emails. So it's not a problem, right? I, for years, have made money on courses that nobody signed up for. And what I mean by that is I would say, here's this course, come do this course. Nobody would show up. I'd answer my emails, drink my coffee or whatever. And then eventually they would call me and go, I keep meaning to get to that and I never do. Can I just hire you individually? Well, yes, you can do that. So I recommend, like Stacy was saying, instead of focusing on more programming, we focus on more relationship. And the relationship can be things like the accessibility of an office hour. The relationship can be things like messaging that we're already putting out. Consider putting that on video. Doesn't have to be a perfect video. You take your cell phone, put it above eye level, face the window, do it, and put it out there. That makes you real. I mean, how many of these COVID emails have we gotten? I don't even remember. Everybody says the exact same thing. We're taking it seriously. We care about you, and stay home, right? It means nothing, but I haven't yet got one by video. And I swear to God, if I saw their face and looked into their eyes and saw that they were a real human being affected by this and trying to serve me, it would make a huge, huge psychological difference. So that's some of what we can do for top of mind. The other thing is consider shorter videos. If you are going to be creating video right now as a content thing, you don't need an hour-long Zoom call. Although the fact that you're here is fabulous. I love that you're here because we're diving deep. And that's part of what Rise does, is dive deep and give people those deeper roots to grow from. But you can also do 2-3 minute videos that do one of two things, either that are high on concept. So this is the kind of thing you want to be thinking about. So for an example of a high concept video, I was talking to someone this morning in the financial industry, and she was talking about, yes, we know that people are going to get laid off. We know things are going to happen, but money still moves. Money always moves. And she said, unless we go to guns and gold, money is moving. So she said the key is to get clear about how your money is moving and to learn how to pivot around your money. That's a concept. She's not giving specifics, but she's saying take out the fear and look at the picture from this angle. High concept videos are really good right now, or totally tactical. Like, here is one little tiny tactic. So one, for example, that I did that I put in the Rise Facebook group for Denver, and I can see if Stacy will put it on the one in St. Louis, is what to do if you have an ugly background. And I started with a decent background, and then I took it down and you saw it was my stove. It's a very tactical, right? But get out of the middle. I've been through several recessions as a public speaking coach and a video coach and a business strategy coach. People want to stay in the middle because that's safe. Don't stay there. Don't stay in the middle during tough times. Get to the really simple, tactical, and cheap, or the big, huge solution and the big high concept, one of the other sides. I'm going to pause and ask for y'all reflections. And what do you think about that? So, Rise, Stacy?
Yeah, Mari, I love that. And the tactical was really clear, and you gave a good example for the other one, but for whatever reason, that's not fully landing for me.
Okay.
So if you give me another example, that would be super helpful, because I love what you're saying and I think it's super helpful, but I just want to wrap my head around it. I think the first one's a little bit more abstract for me.
Because it by definition is abstract.
Okay, it's not just me. It's not just me.
So you're right on track. But it would be the different. So the middle for Rise would be saying, Rise is about supporting women, and we have all this great programming, and there's all these amazing women that we know who are doing terrific things. That's sort of a middle thing, right? But the high concept would be to really dive into shine theory and say, how much time in your life have you spent criticizing yourself and others in your mind?
Got it.
We need to get to shine theory, where we are really bringing out what's fabulous in others and in ourselves. So you're not really talking about any of the application. You're just talking about that nugget of the idea. And the reason we do these two things of super tactical or super conceptual is, depending on personality types, this is how people respond to anxiety.
Oh.
Some people will respond to anxiety with, yes, but what do I do? Give me something to do. Other people are like, tell me what it means. Nobody wants to stick in the middle because that's too uncertain and too messy and, frankly, too changing day to day. So back to our example, Stacy, for you to say what Rise is doing is tricky right now, because it may be doing something else 2 weeks from now.
Or even tomorrow.
Okay, let's be fair.
Come on, Mari.
But shine theory will stay no matter what you do,
Yeah, because
right?
that's one of our core values and something we believe really deeply in. And to helping people to understand it a little better.
Exactly. Because that allows me as the viewer to create a really deep relationship in times of uncertainty. And I used to say this 3 weeks ago, which was, so last century. I used to say we need more than ever a values and vision match with the people that we work with.
Yes.
But in times of uncertainty, that's even more core to our sense of safety.
Mm-hmm.
And most business people, ironically, and women, I swear to God, as a gender, we're so bad at this. We need to stop. Is that we don't want to double down on our vision because we don't want to put ourselves out there to be seen at that level.
Yeah, it's a vulnerable experience.
And we're afraid of being judged, or we're afraid of whatever. So I want Stacy Realtor's thoughts in a minute, but I'm gonna share a story though. I have been obsessed. So I'm hoping this is going to be helpful to someone out there. For about a week, I have been obsessed with Winston Churchill. Now, not because I'm a Churchill fan particularly, but because of the famous speech, we will fight on the beaches, we will fight on the landing grounds. The speech where he basically galvanized a nation to get in small 1- and 2-person boats and go across the English Channel into a war zone, pick people up and bring them back, right? This amazing moment in history. What a lot of people don't know are two things. Britain was within 48 hours of signing a deal to let Hitler come on in.
Oh, wow.
A lot of people don't know that. And Churchill was, and this is the part that keeps going in my head, Churchill was a depressive, anxious, bipolar mess and used to spend a lot of time having freakouts in his bathtub. He didn't know what he was going to say on that speech, right? He was being pushed to go ahead. Okay, we're going to sign the deal. We're going to let him walk in. I think the deal was with Italy and Hitler. I don't remember those details, but he wasn't really sure what he was going to do. And he's sitting in his bathtub having an anxiety fit, right? And he got out of his bathtub and he said what he said, and it changed the course of history. But we didn't know it was going to change the course of history. If he hadn't got out of his bathtub, we would have thought that the changing moment was 18 months or 6 months beforehand. So my point is, ladies, get out of the bathtub. You may not know what you have to say. You may not feel like you've got the right to say it. You may feel scared. You may feel anxious. You may feel depressed. You can do all that stuff. But if you have a perspective, the world needs your perspective right now. You don't know that's going to help.
And even starting small, my suspicion is a lot of people didn't jump on this call. I decided today to share like which ones are interactive and which ones are just listen, because I got some feedback from yesterday, and I would put money on it. And we're recording this, so I'm saying this to all of you all that aren't on here, that many people chose not to come because of the intimidation of it being interactive and not being yet comfortable on camera. So I think that's a really good example that you can start by just small steps. That getting out of the bathtub doesn't have to look like a YouTube video that you're showcasing to the whole world. It could be jumping on a Zoom call and doing something out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely. And I don't think it's about the video. I mean, video is a vehicle. It's about you. We need you right now. We need your perspective. And I do believe your first 9 to 10 videos are going to be ugly. Just get them out of the way.
And Stacey, I want you to clarify, because I think Mari's a little bit confused on what you do. You are in the real estate world, but just clarifying a little bit what you do so that people listening know what you're about.
Yeah, right. I want more from Stacey. Yeah.
Yeah, so my industry is going to be incredibly impacted because we're doing single unit leasing and management.
Okay.
So, yes. So with people being self-quarantined, or whatever verbiage you would like to use about that, keeping other people safe, it's not like I'm meeting with anybody to see a unit, or nobody wants to see a unit because they don't know what their income's going to be. So it's very difficult, and I'm just getting off the ground with this. So I've got a couple of clients that I want to make these videos for, to let them know it's still okay. It's going to be okay. Let's get past this time. I'm still thinking of you. I'm still, if it's I have a client who's looking for something else. I'm still looking for you. Just because nothing looks like it's happening doesn't mean I'm not still thinking of you. So I think it's important for us to let our clients know that, even though we may not be able to do anything right this moment.
I love that. I love that. And you can double down on that. So that's the second piece. So we sort of talked about top of mind videos, but this is the service video. And you can double down. A lot of people underestimate how much they know. And Stacy, I'm betting you underestimate how much you know that your people don't know.
All the time.
Right?
All the time.
Yeah. So you can do a series of videos that are, you know, first of all, here's an individual video I made for you, Carol, to let you know, Carol, that I am still looking for you and this is what's going on. But then you can do a series of videos of what's happening when I'm looking for you. What's happening when I'm managing for you? What are the kinds of issues with properties I'm looking for? What are the kinds of issues with tenants I'm looking for? What are the kind of safety precautions I'm setting in place? What systems are we going to be using? You can, in bite-sized pieces, walk people through the kind of information that you are either doing an initial consult or doing bit by bit as it comes up in the series. And the interesting thing is some of these videos won't necessarily be watched in the moment. Some might not be watched more than a few seconds. But the fact that they're there makes people feel like, oh my gosh, look at her level of service.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that you can do that might be particularly useful to you in these times, Stacy, is to partner with other people. So you might partner, just like we're doing over a Zoom call, and record it with a financial advisor about, okay, so the rates have gone down. What does that mean? What are the changes? Lots of banks are changing structures on loans, that kind of thing, so that you can have another expert walk through with you there some of the answers to questions and some of the maybe hidden opportunities people aren't really recognizing, so that we're ready to bounce back when the time comes, right? But the other thing is then that gets seen by your people and their people, so you've done a referral, a cross referral. Stacey,
Right.
what do you think about
Actually,
that?
as a real estate agent, we're not allowed to give out like financial advice. So I had actually thought about that. I have a wonderful CFP who's very calm, knows his stuff. People who ordinarily panic talk to him and then they feel better afterwards.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that might be a really great thing. All I have to do is convince him. And then I have my partner does HOA management. So I've also thought about, we need to pair those two things together. It's just really convincing her that that's the thing to do. She's not really technologically oriented. And I think sometimes she doesn't see the value of this type of an environment. And like you said, even if it doesn't do anything right this second, it's still going to be out there. Right. So people can still reference it.
Well, and this is what I know from having walked through several recessions as a small business coach and as a small business owner. And I've been in business since 1977 as myself, so I've walked through some recessions. What happens during the recession is people panic and they pull back. They market less, they're out there less, they're just spinning in their own worry. And then as we pull out of it, that's when a lot of businesses tank, as we're starting to get better because they've used up all their resources. But the ones that didn't pull back, the ones that were out there more, hit the ground running. They've got stuff to put out, they've got relationships, and they have a big bump. So if it were a graph, it sort of does, you know, you've got one line goes up and one line goes down. If you hide, the line is going to go down as you get out of it. If you prepare, you can have a strong uptick as you come out of it. So this is something to tell your partners, right? Is we need to get this stuff going now. You could even do stuff that seems a little one-off, like with a moving company to talk about things to know about moving day, right? You may not use that now, but now's when you have the time.
Right.
And when we get the bump, all of a sudden you've got more to give. Stacey, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I think that's great. And we're doing all that stuff too, trying to think through, you know, what do we in terms of video do to set us up for success once this is over? I see a lot of co-working spaces are actually creating virtual tours. So I don't know if you could consider that a service. I mean, a lot of our programming, I guess, would be considered service. So yeah.
Well, a virtual tour is nice, and certainly
Right.
if I get on a website for a co-working space, I want to see the space.
Mhm.
But I would do high concept
Yeah.
conversations about from leaders in your community. So not just you
Right. Right.
and not just your staff, but who are the people in those offices? Who are the people who have those 24/7 desks? I want to know not the concept of the community, but the heart of the community that
Ooh, I
I'm
like
getting.
that. Okay.
Yeah, I like
Does
that
that
a
make
lot
sense?
because it also
Yeah.
helps us, if you could do it with St. Louis as well, we could do this cross-pollination of people that are using, here, let me help you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I love it.
Cross-pollination, right? Of
Yeah.
people, like I met a couple of people on the call yesterday that are going to be very useful for me.
Yes. And remind me, I need to introduce you to Leslie in St. Louis. I think you'll really enjoy her, and she's in your world.
Oh, thank you very much.
Leslie, if you're watching this, heads up, I'm going to make an intro. Mari, going back to what you said, I think that's a perfect segue into what we're going to post tomorrow on Facebook in our group. Mari says that, you have to do how many bad videos first? 9?
9 to 10 stinky videos. Just get the stink out. Don't worry about it.
Well, as you're practicing it, you can practice by sharing about what you love about Rise and why you joined Rise. We're going to actually ask you to share that on our Facebook group. And then if you're, depending on how it goes and how you feel about it, I may even ask you if we can share it beyond that, but I won't do that without your permission.
And I'm going to double down on the challenge here and say that when you're talking about Rise, specifically talk about how Rise vision and values matches with your own vision and value. Take the risk of talking about what you stand for in this world.
Yeah. Well, so should I share our core values if that's the case? And I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to, no. Okay.
Let us tell you.
Oh, that's
Might get uncomfortable, but it's your opportunity to reflect it back.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that we haven't talked about. So we talked about, top of mind videos and service videos. Service videos can be like we talked about in terms of creating stuff, your process, even FAQs on your website. There's no reason all the FAQs can't be videoed.
Oh, I love that.
Right? So there's a lot of this stuff you can be building. But the other kind of service is the service of listening, of asking your people to put on video, exactly like Stacy's doing, and really hear in their own words, in their own way, what they're experiencing. A lot of businesses always have problems with their messaging. They just don't know it until the economy goes bad. And when the economy goes bad, what they discover is they've never quite explained what they're doing well, so people are jumping over that hurdle to buy from them. And in a bad economy, they just run into the hurdle. They can't make the leap. Right? So when you hear back in other people's words, often what I find is people figure out we need to tweak it just a little bit. I use word A, but people really want word B.
I like that.
Okay, we can do that. And you'll be surprised how the same things keep coming up again and again. So, one of the things that I never said in my stuff, because it never dawned on me, frankly, until I started listening, is that my video courses are a safe space. I never thought of them. Why wouldn't they be a safe space? To me, this is like, duh. So it wasn't in any of my messaging.
That's important for people to know, because I think that's what it goes back to what you said earlier about people are afraid to come on this type of venue because they don't really know what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
Right. And how is it a safe space? Is it really a safe space? Right.
So that's what I had to learn, right? Is that I needed to explicitly put that in my messaging. So listening is another great form of service, right? The other thing that I want to do is some of you this will be relevant for, some of you won't, but don't forget that there is a lot of commerce opportunity in video, especially right now. So for those of you who have something specific that you know how to do that other people don't know how to do, consider doing some kind of gateway, some kind of paid tutorial. And pricing wise, you either want to go very cheap or very high end. So you either want to go, here's a $37.99 thing you can get and do this afternoon, Or do you want to go, here's $1,000 thing that will walk you through everything you need to know about it? Again, bad economy, get out of the middle, right? But Stacy, property manager, there may be things you may be able to do a $37 course on. If you're going to do it on your own, at least don't make these mistakes.
True story. Yeah.
Well, Mara, I'm curious your opinion. I think that's a great suggestion, and we have definitely explored that at Rise and have some ideas. We have not launched it yet because there's a part of me that feels nervous. I feel like at this time, it's a good time to do a lot of giving and a lot of supporting. And for some reason, for me, I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable or tone deaf to be too focused on the money side right now. So in this delicate time, how do you navigate that in the sense of, yes, we need and want to make money. We have bills just like everyone.
Well, first of all, you're honest about that. Be transparent.
Yeah.
A lot of people out there going, I'm just here to give. And I'm like, no, you're not. The rest of us are. You're here to give, and there's nothing wrong with having and at the end of the sentence. But the other thing is to pull onto those spectrums. If it's really cheap and you over deliver, right? So I'm charging you $37, but really this is at least worth 2 hours of my time and I bill it $100 an hour, right?
Right.
Then that becomes, hey, it's tough time. I'm giving you a cheap solution, a way around it.
Right.
You don't have to hire me for 2 hours of my time at $200. You can do the $37 thing, right? Mm-hmm. Or to go, again, the high end, which is, I know it's a tough time. And that's why, you've bought the ability for me to hold your hand and walk you through the fire. So that you're not being tone deaf, but you're being really clear about serving the emotion under the, first of all, if it's not solving a problem, don't sell it.
Right.
Right. It's got to be solving a legit problem. This is not a time for us to have to guess what we're getting out of a product. And for a lot of people, the problem is, again, in the messaging. They'll tell me all day what they do. They'll never tell me why I care. I'm like, yes, I get it that you do that thing. I'm not sure what that thing does for me, right? I was talking to a geriatric care manager. She kept talking about me about geriatric care management. And I was like, I don't get it. And finally, she's like, I'm a rent-a-daughter so that your elders are still loved and safe, even when you're at work or across the country. It's like, got it. Now I know the why.
Lead with that.
Yes.
So
don't lead.
Right. Exactly. Boy, talk about her being more needed than ever, right?
Right.
So I think, Stacy, part of it's getting out of the middle.
Okay.
Part of it's really identifying very explicitly, not here's the cool thing, but here's either what this gives to you that you couldn't get before or what it protects you from that you couldn't have before. Now, here's another thing about marketing. During times of trouble, often the best marketing messages are about protecting us from loss. During times of prosperity, often the best marketing messages are about giving us a gain. Because humans are, that's just the way brains work. We scan for threat or promise, right? But during times of threat, the promise part is less activated in our brain. So don't lose out. Here's how to not lose out on an opportunity versus this is the greatest opportunity you ever said. That's going to feel tone deaf.
Got it.
Right? Like there's all these coaches out there going, now is the time for you to unleash your inner genius. And I'm like, nobody cares. Now is the time for your inner genius to help you thrive during tough times. People might care about that. You see the difference?
Yeah, no, that's helpful because that's what we were balancing of how do we try to make money at this time without appearing tone deaf or callous, and providing support in ways that are valuable as well. Yeah.
Stacy, have you thought about pairing it with a passive charity type component? Like
yeah. I mean, and that's interesting you bring that up because we ourselves have a 501c3,
right.
for those high school girls, and we're always walking the line of how do we make sure people know about it without throwing it in their face and feeling like it's being shoved down their throat. I'm really sensitive to that because I've attended a lot of functions where I believe it's a little uncomfortable to feel that pressure to give. So I'm probably a little hypersensitive to it, which is part of the problem.
But I will tell you that if you offered something for $20, just for an example, if you offered something for $20, I would be much more likely to take it if it was 25 and 5 of it went to the 501c3.
Nice, super helpful.
That's
I bet
me.
a lot of people, well, I think you're right. I think that's tapping into something that a lot of people are feeling right now. So I think that's a great suggestion.
Well, let's take a page from like Tom's and Bombas, and I call it passive charity, where I'm going to buy those things anyway. I pay a little bit more for them, but somebody else gets the benefit of it, and it's I'm more motivated by that, and I know there's got to be other people that are also motivated by that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
That is a fabulous point. And that goes back to values and vision match, right? It's really about values and vision, but it's also got back to protecting something I care about, right? You're giving to this charity to protect something I care about, in addition to giving me that service I need.
Mm-hmm.
So I, at this point, was just going to take questions. So about anything. We are going to do, I just want to say before I get into questions, let you think about your questions while I say this. We're going to do 2 more. I'm going to do 2 more of these. So please, people, start showing up live. One on some of the technical issues, because people are like, oh my God, I can't handle the tech. I promise you, most of this can be done with a cell phone. It is not that difficult. And then one on outreach and marketing, a little bit more to what we were just talking about here, about how do we get that messaging and outreach in a way that's going to work in challenging times where the rules are changing every 2 minutes. So we're going to continue this conversation, but now I'm going to open up floor questions about anything, any of the buckets, what we talked about today. We're going to talk about anything.
And I want to pause you too. You were saying earlier about creating a safe space that people could learn these things if they don't want to necessarily jump on this Zoom. You have a course yourself that does allow people to do it at their own time and not feel that pressure. So in case somebody is like, Stacey, it's just not happening, I'm not getting on the Zoom, I don't want to interact on this, where's another place that they could go to get your support? Because I think just listening to you for the 30 minutes I've listened to you, and anytime I've heard you on camera, I'm always walking away thinking, oh my God, not only do you teach the high level, but you also give the tactical, this is how you execute it. And that's where I think so many people forget to do both. And you do both so beautifully that I want people to feel like they can get it either here or elsewhere.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, because I believe that if we don't have the tactical, we can't implement the idea, but if the idea isn't there, who cares? So we got to do both. So I have an online class. You have access to it for 3 years. And it's a bundle. So it's about confidence and charisma on camera. So you don't have to feel like you're awkward. It's looking good on camera. So you can get over thinking you're ugly, because I promise you, you're not. I am an ugly introvert. So if I can do it, you can do it. Just saying. And then the last one is some really simple tech. I don't get into the complex tech because there are other people who do that better. But the cheap life hacks, here's how you do it with a cell phone in your bedroom. We got that. So, and I, in light of what's going on and to serve my Rise community and others, I have dropped the price by $300. Back to what I was saying before, right? So this is now $197 for the full course. You can go to more-impact-less-stress.com, more impact, less stress, that's what you want, /video, and find it. With Stacey's permission, I'll also put a link to it in the Facebook groups.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is get my hands on this recording and then post it on the Facebook group, and then you can comment, or you could do a separate one, however you choose. But I think that what you're saying right now is needed, especially given that we all are going to virtual. So I want to make sure that people have access to it, whether it's through these Zooms or whether it's through your course.
Yes. And then one other thing I'll say, and then I do want questions, is that because everybody is moving to Zoom and people aren't as good at Zoom as, some people haven't been using Zoom forever, I will be adding into the course sessions on how to use Zoom, more stuff on business strategy with video. That's why I like courses. They're living, breathing things. As our world changes and stuff keeps coming up, that course gets more valuable every day as I add content.
Yes.
Okay, now questions. What do you all want to know?
Stacy, do you have any question about video and strategy?
It's been really helpful to hear what you've been saying, because I've been kind of contemplating that, of partnering with other people and giving some content value. So that just, it's one of those, it confirms and affirms the direction in which I'm thinking is the way to go. So thank you. And I do have some, I have a client who's an artist, and I'm trying to encourage her to just put out some small videos that are super duper easy, especially, and market them to children. She's really good with kids. She doesn't really like to be with them in person. She's really good with them, but you know, birthday parties are just, to try to do art is ridiculous. But trying to get her to think about how to do that. So this is really helpful to be able just to share with other clients and just other women and men in my community about what to do. So
That's fabulous.
I have a question, but I appreciate it.
That's so cool. You know, I saw an artist once. He did a series. I have a lot of arts people in my background. He did a series where he would just video himself painting, talking about how his ideas and his thoughts and what he wanted, his vision for the painting. And he exploded.
I bet.
Making so much money off of his art. And it's not that the images weren't beautiful, but before we saw into his window into his world, the images didn't have as much meaning as they do now.
Right.
So
There's another artist that she does, it's Wordling Studios. She makes shinies. So she just put a camera up over her desk. And so we're just watching her do these wire meditation type, putting her jewelry together. She's not actually really talking very much about it. We're just watching her creative process, which actually is kind of soothing in this time of uncertainty.
we need that. We need people's joy, whatever you like. I'll watch the video of you petting your cat. My cat watches cat videos. If I could video him doing that, I would show it, but he's using the device to watch them. So
That's hilarious. Well, Mari, I just want to thank you for your time. I can't wait to get this chopped. I want to cut off the first part of our conversation where it's just you and I chatting, Mari, but I can't wait to get this on Facebook. And I just know the community is very lucky to hear from you, even though they're not necessarily on the call right now. I know that they're incredibly lucky and will be incredibly thankful for your strategies and advice and all of the wonderful things you shared today. So thank you.
Yes,
well, thank you
very much.
Thank you all. And let's continue the conversation next week, because there's more to do here.
And that's Tuesday at I'm looking at my phone, 10:30 Central, 10:30 Mountain Time, 11:30 Central Standard Time.
Thanks for letting us know about that, because I didn't know about the other two. So
yeah, and that one again, just one last time, that will be about the technology, and then the last one will be about outreach. So it's a 3-part series, and I challenge Rise members to be courageous and show up to the next one. We missed you. Talk soon, everyone.
bye.
Thanks, Mari.
Absolutely, my dear.
All right, I'll talk soon. Bye-bye.